the day and age of sitting quarterbacks are you can't say gone, because look at what Jordan Love was able to do after 3 years.
Mahomes.
And Mahomes sat for one.
Yep.
And not even that full one. He wet his beak a little bit in the final game of a regular season. Other than that, though, I mean, Jaden Daniels goes number 2 overall. He's starting week 1 for the Commanders.
Yep.
Drake May starts number 3 overall. He goes number 3 overall in New England. I don't know if he starts week 1 for New England. I think that New England would have the ability to, right? Don't you think, Chris? I
think Jacoby Brissett is 100% starting week 1.
And they might be able to sit him an entire year.
Yeah.
That's possible.
I just sat with Drake May. I was in North Carolina on last Wednesday, I think it was. And
what'd you think?
He's a beast, man. He's big, physical. He's so young. He's 21 years old, and he's just like this Mr. Leaf, and he's got this bowl of like granola and stuff, and he's just, eating away, and he's just I'm just like,
did you tell him to make his bed? Did he make his bed? You know what I mean?
I said,
it's like you could be his dad, man.
And everybody in the office is like, right. He is so young. He is so young, but he is a killer, Ryan. He's a killer. And I'm like, yeah, I was a killer too, right? Mm-hmm. You walk into a room and you're 21 years old and you're supposed to be the leader of 33-year-old men in that locker room and stuff who are trying to put food on the table for their families. It's a different story when things kind of start going south. And did you hear Brian Hoyer this week talk about Mac Jones and how he thought that they were giving him like the defenses and plays in practice because Mac Jones was maybe the smartest and most ready player coming out of college in Josh McDaniels' offense. Mm-hmm. What a absolute referendum to what Bill Belichick did to that young man over the last 2 years. I mean, it's so amazing what teams can do to a player. And the player ultimately, like Mac Jones is going to sit down in Jacksonville and carry around like the conversation of like, dude, you busted in New England. Well, I don't know, man. They screwed me pretty bad here in this deal too, but no one really is going to talk about that.
Well, I mean, in terms of Boston, I've got Ryan Leaf here on the Rich Eisen Show.
You like how he did that?
No.
Speaking of bust, I got Ryan Leaf here on the show.
No, I didn't say speaking of bust. No, on the subject of bust, though, and here's where I was going with it, actually, is Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, who else can we include in this mix here? I think you know where I'm going. Where
Fields, kind of?
Well, he's in a position to...
Trubisky.
That the number of players that we're seeing that gets drafted high and then goes somewhere else and gets another opportunity. Geno Smith is another terrific example, right?
It took a long time, too.
Part of that was opportunity also. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because after he left the Jets, he goes to the Giants, where Eli Manning never missed a start. Yep. And then that one time Geno started in place of Eli and his streak got broken, it was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
then he goes to Seattle, and there's Russ, who didn't miss a game. But all I'm saying is that it does appear that we need to see years for quarterbacks to get opportunity and also maybe the seasoning that they need. And part of the reason why is the way the new collective bargaining agreement is set up. There's, very little time in the offseason. And then when you do get the players, without a doubt, the starting quarterback is going to get every damn rep he possibly can get. Maybe we're seeing the UFL could be helpful, where people get reps. Guys don't get reps. They don't get reps. And so sure enough, they may have to take another crack at it and get that opportunity in order to be considered a non-bust, even though they were never busts to begin with, potentially.
No, there's never a bust. You're one of 27,000 players ever to play in the NFL, so we'll stop that right there. Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield are two of the most favorite stories that I see going right now. Got a chance to play with Baker. I'll play golf down with Baker here in a couple weeks ago, right before he had his little baby.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy for him. Like, Cleveland was a great spot for him. He did something no one had done there in decades, got him to the playoffs, and it was just like, took it for granted. Him maybe a little bit too, not signing a contract that was probably more a better situation for him. And then I actually thought the Sean McVay situation was so profound for him. I even thought he may stay there because last year we didn't know if Matthew Stafford and his injuries were going to be what they were. And I thought maybe it's a really good spot for him.
Right.
And then to see him to take that shot and go to Tampa and play the way he did this year was awesome, to be rewarded with that big contract. You don't see it. You don't see it often, and it's starting to happen now where a guy goes number 1 overall. He's on his 4th team, and he gets that that big deal where we don't see that. You see a guy that ultimately hangs around, and Blaine Gabbert, let's say, and he's a backup around most places for 15 years or something like that. Jared Goff, another one, just, kind of traded away really for the contract. Detroit never thought he would be the guy long term, and he's going to be their franchise quarterback and the guy that possibly has a chance to get him back to the Super Bowl or get him to the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
Yeah, we asked him, how long do you think a quarterback needs to get to be evaluated? He said 4 or 5 years at the very least.
Yeah.
But then somebody like C.J. Stroud comes along, and it's just like, well, why can't everybody be doing that?
Right.
I'm serious. Like, that is,
it
a
is
fresh reminder. Big Ben was that version of it in the early aughts. Why can't everybody be like Big Ben? Why can't everybody be like Stroud or Mahomes? And obviously, there's a very long answer to that. But
I was, when I got a chance to mentor the quarterbacks at the Combine, Patrick was one of my mentees during that process. And I just, to see where he's at now and to see the maturation in his play, like to go from this chaotic down the field, everything. What has impressed me the most about him is really his lack of ego. Like last year, Patrick was asked by Coach Reed to do things completely different. Like, let this defense lead. You take us out, and if you can get something and not turn the football over, we're going to win football games. And he just, there was an egoless Patrick Mahomes throughout this year, and he was still the best quarterback in the league because he actually, you look at the game against, I think it was the Ravens where he threw it like 39 times, but for like 245 yards, right? It was all at the line of scrimmage. It just was, it was not trying to be this big superstar. It was just doing the work that was asked, and they went back to the championship and won it. So I thought he's been the most impressive guy. It's going to be hard to beat them. I don't care what team in the AFC you are.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.